The transmission ended, and nobody in the command center moved. Ren Tavori stood frozen at his monitoring station, his three eyes fixed on the words still glowing on his screen. The Coalition Council had done something unthinkable. They had sent a request for military assistance to the human collective. "They cannot be serious," whispered the officer beside him. But Ren knew they were completely serious. The war against the Vorthani Empire had lasted 18 months. In that time, the Coalition had lost 47 worlds, 200,000 soldiers, and all hope of victory. The Vorthani fleet outnumbered them 5-1. Their ground forces seemed endless. Every defensive line fell within weeks. Desperate leaders made desperate choices. Commander Iris Dole appeared behind Ren, her bioluminescent skin flickering with pale blue light. Among Celians, this color meant fear. Ren had never seen his commander afraid before. "You read the transmission," she said. It was not a question. "Yes, Commander." Iris placed a hand on his shoulder. Her fingers were cold. "Then you understand what is coming." Ren understood only rumors and legends. Humans came from a world called Earth, a death world of extreme temperatures, toxic atmosphere, and constant natural disasters. They had emerged into the galaxy 2 centuries ago, and within their first year, a single colony ship had accidentally encountered 3 pirate fleets. The pirates had attacked, expecting easy prey. Not one pirate survived. The galactic community had watched the aftermath in horror. Humans had used weapons designed to tear through armor and bone. They had fought without pause for 47 hours. When their ammunition ran out, they fought with blades. When their blades broke, they fought with their hands. The Coalition and every major power had agreed on a single response. Humanity was restricted to their own sector of space. Trade was limited. Contact was minimized. For 200 years, humans had remained in their quarantine zone, and the galaxy had slept peacefully until now. "We are inviting a plague to cure a fever," Iris said quietly. "The Council does not understand what they have done." "Have you met humans, Commander?" Iris closed her eyes. "Once, long ago, a diplomatic vessel crossed into our territory by accident. I was part of the boarding team that inspected their ship." She paused. "They were polite, professional. They smiled at us constantly, showing their teeth." Ren felt his skin grow cold. Showing teeth was a threat display among most species. "I watched one of their crew members repair a broken console." Iris continued. She burned her hand on a hot surface. The wound was severe. Flesh turned black, and she simply wrapped it in cloth and continued working as if nothing had happened. "Pain tolerance. Beyond anything I have witnessed. They are built to endure suffering that would kill us. Their world made them that way." Iris opened her eyes. "The Vorthani are powerful enemies, but they fight like soldiers. Humans do not fight like soldiers, Ren. They fight like something else entirely." The alert system chimed. Ren turned to his console and felt his heart stop. Long-range sensors had detected incoming vessels. 3 ships, entering Coalition space from the quarantine zone. They were moving at speeds that should have been impossible for vessels of their size. No energy waste. No unnecessary transmissions. Complete efficiency. They would arrive at Station Verdant, 7 in 6 hours. Admiral Cos Brenneth's voice echoed through the command center. "All personnel, this is the Admiral. Human military forces will dock at our station within 6 hours. You will treat them as honored allies. You will show them respect and cooperation. Any incident will be dealt with severely." The Admiral paused. "I know many of you have heard stories. I know you are afraid. But the Vorthani are at our gates, and we have no other options. Whatever the humans are, they have agreed to help us. We must trust that the Council has made the right decision." The transmission ended. Ren looked at his commander. "Do you trust them?" Iris did not answer immediately. She watched the sensor display, tracking the 3 dots that represented incoming human vessels. "I trust that they will destroy our enemies," she said finally. "What I do not trust is what happens after." 6 hours passed like 6 minutes. When the human ships emerged from faster-than-light travel and slowed to approach the station, Ren observed them on visual sensors. They were small compared to Coalition vessels. No elegant curves, no decorative elements. Just angular shapes designed for function. The lead ship transmitted a simple message. "Coalition Station Verdant, 7. This is the Human Expeditionary Force vessel Resolute. Requesting permission to dock. We are here to help." Ren's hands trembled as he processed the docking request. The humans had arrived, and somewhere deep in his chest, Ren understood that the galaxy would never be the same again. Nobody volunteered to greet the humans. Ren stood alone at the docking bay airlock because Commander Iris had ordered him to be there. His role was simple: meet the human delegation, escort them to the War Council. Do not show fear. The last instruction seemed impossible. Through the reinforced window, Ren watched the human vessel connect to the station. The ship looked wounded, covered in scars from old battles that had never been repaired. The humans did not care about appearance. They only cared about function. The airlock hissed open. Ren expected monsters. The legends described humans as towering predators with muscles like steel cables and eyes that could see in darkness. He expected claws, fangs. Natural weapons evolved through millions of years on a death world. What walked through the airlock made him more afraid, not less. The humans were small, shorter than Celians. Their skin was soft and thin, easily damaged. They had no claws, no fangs, no protective scales. Their bodies looked fragile, almost delicate. One solid blow would break their bones. But their eyes. Ren had studied predator species across the galaxy. He recognized the forward-facing eyes of a hunter. Every human eye was fixed on him, analyzing, calculating. These were not the eyes of prey animals. These were the eyes of something that chased its food until it died from exhaustion. The leader stepped forward. She was a female of average human size, with dark skin and hair cut short against her skull. She moved with an economy of motion that suggested complete control over every muscle. "I am Captain Diana Okonkwo," she said. Her voice was calm and warm. "You must be our liaison." Ren forced himself to speak. "Intelligence Officer Ren Tavori. Welcome to Station Verdant 7. Captain Okonkwo smiled. Her teeth were flat, not pointed, but there were so many of them. The expression stretched across her face in a way that looked almost painful. Ren knew this was supposed to be friendly. His body still screamed at him to run. "Thank you for receiving us," the captain said. "I know this must be strange for your people. We will try to make the adjustment as smooth as possible." She extended her hand. Ren stared at it. Physical contact was intimate among most species, reserved for family or mates. Humans apparently touched strangers without hesitation that he took her hand. Her grip was firm but not crushing. Her skin was hot, almost feverish by Celian standards. Humans ran at temperatures that would indicate serious illness in other species. "Please follow me," Ren said. "The Admiral is waiting." As they walked through the station corridors, Ren observed the human team. There were 12 of them. Most wore armored suits that looked heavy and uncomfortable. One wore lighter clothing marked with medical symbols. She noticed Ren watching and smiled at him. More teeth. "I am Dr. Amara Diallo," she said. "Combat medic and xenobiologist. You are Celian, yes? I have studied your species. Fascinating biology. Triple cardiovascular system, bioluminescent dermal communication, enhanced visual spectrum. You studied us. All coalition species. If I am going to keep your soldiers alive, I need to understand how your bodies work." Ren felt something shift in his perception. The humans had prepared for this mission. They had studied their allies. They intended to protect coalition forces, not just fight alongside them. A large human male fell into step beside Ren. His face was covered in scars, and one of his eyes had been replaced with a mechanical device. "Sergeant Pavel Novak," he said. "Ground forces. You have been fighting the Vorthani for a while now, yes? 18 months. Difficult enemy. They are relentless. Superior numbers. Advanced weapons. They do not negotiate or surrender." Sergeant Novak made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Good. We prefer enemies that do not surrender. Less complicated." Ren did not know how to respond to that. They reached the War Council chamber. Admiral Brenneth waited inside with his senior staff. Every officer in the room stiffened when the humans entered. Captain Okonkwo surveyed the tactical displays without comment. She studied the enemy positions, the coalition defenses, the projected casualty estimates. Her expression remained calm. "You have been fighting defensively," she said finally. Admiral Brenneth nodded. "We lack the forces for offensive operations. Your defensive strategy has failed for 18 months. The Vorthani will eventually overwhelm this position." The captain turned to face the admiral. "With respect, we did not come here to help you lose slowly. We came here to win." The room fell silent. We are outnumbered 4-1. The admiral said carefully. Captain Okonkwo smiled again. This time, the expression contained no warmth. We have been outnumbered before, she said. It has never stopped us. Rin watched the human captain stand among the most powerful officers in the coalition fleet, utterly unintimidated. And he began to understand why the galaxy had quarantined these creatures. They were not afraid of anything. That was terrifying. Hollow Ridge was burning. Rin had been ordered to observe the human ground assault and report everything he witnessed. Now he crouched behind a collapsed wall, watching impossible things happen. The planet's surface was hostile to most life. Volcanic vents released toxic gases. The temperature exceeded safe limits for coalition soldiers. Visibility dropped to nearly zero when ash clouds rolled across the battlefield. The Vorthani had chosen this location because it gave them every advantage. The humans had attacked anyway. Sergeant Novak moved through the smoke like a ghost. His armor was scorched black. The air he breathed would have killed a Celian in minutes. But the humans had brought their own atmosphere, sealed inside their helmets, and they moved through the toxic clouds without slowing. Ren counted 40 human soldiers. The Vorthani defensive position held 600 troops. Any rational force would have retreated. The humans advanced. The first contact was fast and brutal. Vorthani soldiers opened fire from fortified positions. Plasma bolts lit up the ash clouds. 2 humans fell immediately, their armor failing against direct hits. The rest kept moving. Ren watched a human soldier take a shot to the leg. The limb bent at a wrong angle. The human dropped to one knee, stabilized her weapon, and continued firing. She did not scream. She did not call for help. She simply adjusted to her new condition and kept fighting. Sergeant Novak reached the first defensive wall. A Vorthani warrior rose to meet him, nearly twice his size, covered in natural armor plating. The alien swung a powered blade that could cut through steel. Novak caught the blade with his armored forearm. The metal shrieked and deformed. Blood sprayed from where the edge had cut through to flesh. He did not stop. With his wounded arm still blocking the blade, Novak drove a combat knife into the gap between the warrior's armor plates. The Vorthani collapsed. Novak stepped over the body and continued forward. Ren's translator picked up human communications. Novak is hit. Right arm compromised. Can you fight? Obviously, that was the entire exchange. A wound that would have ended combat for any coalition soldier was treated as a minor inconvenience. The humans fought for 3 hours. Ren watched them adapt to every Vorthani tactic in real time. When the enemy used cover, humans flanked. When the enemy massed for a charge, humans scattered and picked them off from multiple angles. When individual Vorthani retreated, humans pursued. That was the moment Ren truly understood. Humans were pursuit predators. Their ancestors had hunted by chasing prey across vast distances until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. They were not faster than their targets. They were not stronger. They simply never stopped. The Vorthani were powerful, but they were sprinters. They fought in bursts of violence followed by recovery periods. Humans had no recovery period. As the hours passed, the Vorthani began to break. Not from casualties alone, but from something worse. They were facing an enemy that did not tire, did not hesitate, and did not stop advancing no matter how many wounds they suffered. Ren saw a Vorthani officer throw down his weapon and attempt to surrender. Sergeant Novak accepted the surrender. He secured the officer, called for a coalition prisoner transport, and moved on to the next target. The humans were not mindless killing machines. They understood surrender. They respected it, but they had made the Vorthani so afraid that surrender seemed like the only option. By the end of the battle, 40 humans had killed or captured 600 Vorthani. Human casualties numbered 7 dead and 19 wounded. Every wounded human who could still move had continued fighting. Dr. Diallo set up a field hospital in a captured bunker. Ren entered to check on the human wounded and stopped at the entrance. The doctor was treating coalition soldiers first. "These men can wait," she said, gesturing to the wounded humans. "Your people cannot regenerate like we can." Ren looked at Sergeant Novak, who sat against a wall with his ruined arm held against his chest. A bone was visible through the torn flesh. His face showed discomfort, but not agony. "Does that not hurt?" Ren asked. Novak looked at his arm as if he had forgotten about it. "It hurts," he said simply. "But pain is just information. It tells me something is damaged. I already know something is damaged. So the pain is not useful right now. He said this as if it were obvious. As if everyone could simply ignore severe injuries through willpower. Ren sat down beside him. For the first time since the humans arrived, he felt something other than fear. He felt awe. Your species is terrifying, he said quietly. Novak smiled, showing his teeth. By now, Ren almost found the expression comforting. We know, the sergeant said. Why do you think we stayed in quarantine so long? We did not want to scare anyone. Then why come now? Novak's expression softened. Because you asked for help. And we cannot ignore that. It is not in our nature. Ren would remember those words for the rest of his life. 3 weeks into the campaign, Ren found a human soldier crying in the medical bay. The young man sat beside a covered body, tears streaming down his face. He made no sound. He simply sat there, one hand resting on the sheet that covered the fallen. Ren approached carefully. Are you injured? The soldier looked up. His eyes were red and swollen. This is Private Kellenroth. He died saving a Celian engineering team from a Vorthani ambush. He knew them for 4 days. Ren looked at the covered body, then back at the crying soldier. You weep for someone you knew for 4 days. He was my friend. 4 days is not enough time to form deep bonds. The soldier laughed, but there was no humor in it. For humans, 4 minutes is enough. We cannot help it. We attach to things, people, places, ideas. We carry them with us forever. Ren did not understand. He left the medical bay and sought out Captain Okonkwo that he found her in her quarters, reviewing tactical reports. She invited him inside without hesitation. The room was small and functional. The only personal item was a photograph of 2 children pinned to the wall. Your offspring? Ren asked. My niece and nephew. They are on Earth with my sister. The captain smiled at the image. I promised them I would come home with good stories. You left family behind to fight in a war that is not yours. It became ours when you asked for help. Ren sat down across from her. He had carried questions since the first day, and now they demanded answers. Why were humans quarantined? Captain Okonkwo set down her reports. Her expression became serious. You have heard the story of the pirate fleets. 1 colony ship, 3 fleets, no survivors. The galaxy saw that and decided we were too dangerous to allow free movement. That seems reasonable. It was reasonable. We understood. But it was not the only reason. The captain paused. Before we left Earth, we spent thousands of years fighting each other. Wars over land, resources, ideas, things that seem meaningless now. We built weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We poisoned our own planet with industrial waste. We committed acts of cruelty against our own species that I cannot describe without feeling sick. Ren's skin flickered with confusion. But you also protect strangers. You weep for people you knew for days. How can both things be true? That is the question, is it not? Captain Okonkwo leaned forward. Humans are capable of extreme love and extreme hate. We can sacrifice ourselves for strangers, and we can destroy millions for abstract beliefs. We contain both possibilities at all times. Which one is the real you? Both. Always both. The difference is choice. We choose compassion. We choose to protect. We choose to help when asked. But the capacity for destruction never goes away. We simply point it at enemies instead of each other. Ren processed this. The galaxy fears you because they do not know which version they will receive. Exactly. And honestly, we do not always know either. That is why we accepted the quarantine. We needed time to prove to ourselves that we could be trusted. Have you proven it? Captain Okonkwo looked at the photograph of her niece and nephew. We came when you called. We are bleeding and dying for people we never met. We cry over fallen Celians the same way we cry over fallen humans. I think we are proving it now. Later that night, Ren accessed classified historical archives. He found records that the Coalition had kept hidden from public view. Records of human history. He saw images of cities reduced to ash by weapons that split atoms. He saw mass graves. He saw suffering on a scale that made the Vorthani War seem small, but he also saw humans rebuilding from ashes. He saw them creating art and music in the aftermath of destruction. He saw them rescuing strangers from disasters, feeding hungry children, fighting against their own people to protect the weak. He saw a species at constant war with itself, with kindness winning more often than cruelty. By morning, Ren understood something the Coalition had never grasped. The galaxy quarantined humans because they were unpredictable. But unpredictable was not the same as evil. Humans were chaos contained in soft bodies. They could burn worlds or save them. The choice was always theirs, and they had chosen to save the coalition. Ren closed the archives. For the first time, he felt not fear but gratitude. Whatever humans were, they had come when his people needed them. And that meant more than 2 centuries of cautious isolation ever could. The Vorthani came with everything they had left. Ren watched the sensor display as 200 enemy warships emerged from faster-than-light travel. Behind them came troop transports carrying tens of thousands of soldiers. The Vorthani High Command had decided that the human intervention required a final, overwhelming response. Station Verdant 7 had 40 coalition ships and 3 human vessels to defend it. All personnel, begin evacuation, Admiral Brenneth announced. Priority transport of civilians and wounded. Military personnel will cover the retreat. Captain Okonkwo appeared on the command center display. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with something Ren could not name. Negative, Admiral. We are not leaving. Captain, this is not a defensible position. We must preserve our forces. You must preserve your forces. My ships will engage the enemy fleet and create an opening for evacuation. Admiral Brenneth stared at her. You have 3 ships. They have 200. I am aware of the numbers. You will die. Captain Okonkwo smiled. It was the same teeth-baring expression that had terrified Ren on the first day. Now he saw it differently. It was not a threat. It was a promise. We do not abandon allies while they are still in danger. This is not negotiable. The transmission ended. Ren watched the 3 human ships break formation and accelerate toward the Vorthani fleet. They were small, damaged from weeks of combat, and hopelessly outnumbered. They flew directly into the heart of the enemy. The battle was brief and devastating. Human weapons were not more powerful than coalition weapons. Human ships were not faster or stronger. But human tactics were something else entirely. The 3 vessels moved through the Vorthani formation like wolves through sheep. They targeted command ships, fuel transports, communication relays. They created chaos instead of seeking victory. 47 Vorthani ships burned before the Resolute finally took a fatal hit. Ren heard Captain Okonkwo's final transmission, broadcast on all frequencies. All coalition vessels, you have your window. Get our people out. Get them safe. Static. It has been an honor. The Resolute exploded, but the evacuation was already underway. Coalition transports fled through the gap the humans had created. Thousands of lives saved by 3 ships and their impossible courage. On the station, the situation was desperate. Vorthani boarding parties had breached the outer sections. Commander Iris rallied defenders while damage control teams fought fires across multiple decks. Ren found himself trapped in a collapsing corridor with Iris and 6 wounded soldiers. Smoke filled the air. The walls groaned under structural stress. There was no way out. Then the wall exploded inward. Sergeant Novak stepped through the breach, his armor covered in blood that was not his own. Behind him came 8 human soldiers, moving in perfect coordination. Coalition personnel, move now. We are leaving. Ren helped carry the wounded. They moved through burning hallways, stepping over Vorthani bodies. The humans had cut a path directly to their location. How did you find us? Iris asked. Tracked your biosigns, Novak said. We do not leave people behind. They reached an evacuation shuttle as the station's reactor began to fail. Ren looked back and saw a young human soldier, a woman he recognized from Dr. Diallo's team, standing over a fallen Celian. The Celian was alive but could not move. An explosion had crushed his legs. Vorthani soldiers were advancing. There was no time for careful extraction. The human soldier lifted the Celian onto her shoulders. He outweighed her by at least half her body mass. She should not have been able to carry him. She ran out. A plasma bolt caught her in the back. She stumbled but did not fall. She reached the shuttle, placed the Celian inside, and collapsed. Dr. Diallo was on her immediately, cutting away armor, treating wounds. Ren saw the damage. The human spine was visible through the burned flesh. Will she survive? He asked. Maybe, Diallo said. But she did not think about that when she went back for him. The shuttle launched as Station Verdant. 7 died behind them. Ren sat in silence, surrounded by human and coalition survivors. He looked at the wounded human soldier, unconscious now, her body broken from saving a stranger. He thought about Captain Okonkwo, flying into certain death to buy time for evacuation. He thought about every human who had bled and died for people they had known for weeks. The shuttle reached the Coalition fleet. The survivors were safe. But Ren could not stop shaking that he finally understood why the galaxy feared humans. It was not their violence. Violence was common among species. It was their willingness to die for others. That kind of devotion could not be predicted, could not be controlled, could not be stopped. A species that would sacrifice themselves for strangers was capable of anything, and that was more terrifying than any weapon. The war ended 3 months later. The Vorthani Empire did not surrender because of military defeat. Their fleet was still powerful. Their armies still numbered in the millions. They had the strength to continue fighting for years. They surrendered because they were afraid. Ren read the intelligence reports from captured Vorthani commanders. The words haunted him. They do not stop. They do not slow. They do not show pain. We killed them, and they kept coming. We wounded them, and they kept fighting. We outnumbered them 10 to 1, and they attacked us. What manner of creature does this? What species chooses death so willingly? We believed we were facing soldiers. We were wrong. We were facing something that has no word in our language. They fought like they had nothing to lose. They fought like victory was more important than survival. They fought like they loved the beings beside them more than they loved their own lives. I ordered my forces to stand down. I could not ask them to face humans again. No victory is worth that. The Coalition held a memorial ceremony at their new headquarters. Ren stood in the crowd and watched as the names of the fallen were read aloud. 217 humans had died in the war. They had saved over 100,000 Coalition lives. Captain Pavel Novak attended in his dress uniform. The rank was new. He had been promoted after Captain Okonkwo's death. His arm had healed badly, leaving a permanent scar, but he had refused to let the doctors regrow the tissue. "It reminds me," he had said when Ren asked. "Reminds me of what we did here. What it cost." After the ceremony, Ren approached him. They had developed something like friendship over the past months. Ren was no longer afraid of human smiles. "I have a question," Ren said. "One that has bothered me since the beginning." "Ask. Why did you come?" "The Coalition is not your ally. We kept your species isolated for 2 centuries. We treated you like dangerous animals. We were afraid of you, and we let that fear control our policy. Why would you risk your lives for people who treated you that way?" Novak was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the memorial display, at the names of his fallen soldiers. "Someone asked for help," he said finally. "That is enough. It has always been enough. That cannot be the only reason." "Why not?" Ren struggled to articulate his confusion. "Because we did not deserve it. We were unkind to you. We feared you without knowing you. We judged you on rumors and kept you locked away." Novak smiled. "And now I know you. Now I understand. Then our sacrifice worked." Novak placed a hand on Ren's shoulder. The touch no longer felt strange. Humans do not help people because they deserve it. We help because they need it. Worthiness is not part of the equation. The human ships departed a week later. Their numbers were reduced. The Resolute was gone, and one of the remaining vessels was barely functional. But they left as allies, not quarantined monsters. The Coalition Council voted unanimously to end all restrictions on human movement. The 2-century isolation was over. Ren returned to his duties as an intelligence officer. His first assignment was to prepare a comprehensive report on humanity for the Coalition archives, a document that would shape how future generations understood the species that had saved them. That he wrote for 3 days. When he finished, his conclusion was simple. The galaxy feared humans because we believed they were monsters. Creatures incapable of mercy. Predators who would destroy anything in their path. We were wrong. Humans are not incapable of mercy. They are incapable of abandoning those who need them. They form attachments in ours. They weep for strangers. They throw themselves into fire to save people they barely know. They contain both darkness and light, both cruelty and compassion. The difference between the two is simply choice. And when given the choice, humans chose us. That is what the galaxy should truly fear. Not their violence, but their loyalty. Not their rage, but their love. A species that will die for strangers is a species that cannot be defeated, cannot be controlled, cannot be predicted. They will come when called. They will fight when needed. They will sacrifice without hesitation. and the galaxy will never be the same. Ren saved the document and looked out his window. Somewhere beyond the stars, the human ships were heading home. But they would return. They always would, because humans could not ignore a call for help. And that, Ren understood now, was the most terrifying thing about them.